inform you about one of rock's most famous singers, Jim Morrison. Considered to be one of rock's most famous singers, Jim Morrison was a true musician. Jim Morrison led one of rock music's most controversial lifestyles. Jim Morrison's life can be divided into four categories: early life, foundation and the Doors, their rise to fame, and finally his death. We'll start by taking a look at Jim Morrison's early life. Born James Douglas Morrison in Clare, Virginia, and George Stephen Morrison in Melbourne, Florida, Jim Morrison's father was a future rear admiral in the Navy. Due to his father's job with the Navy, they were often moving and changing schools. Although Morrison finally graduated high school from George Washington High in June of 1961. He later attended UCLA in 1964. During Jim Morrison's early years, he allegedly witnessed a car accident in the desert. From this incident, he would use this as a foundation to write many of his most famous songs. Several events from Morrison's childhood would prove to be influential in the Doors' music. During the summer of 1965, after Morrison graduated from UCLA, the foundation of the Doors began to grow. After he graduated college, Morrison led a bohemian lifestyle by living on the rooftop of a fellow UCLA cinematography friend, Dennis Jacobs. He wrote the lyrics of many of his most famous songs during these stages of his life. One day, Morrison and fellow UCLA student Ray Manzarek decided they should begin a band. Subsequently, drummer John Densmore and guitarist Robbie Krieger joined. Krieger auditioned at Densmore's recommendation and was then added to the lineup. From here, the original members of the Doors were born. Once the Doors reached their level of fame, everything changed. They were now known worldwide and continue to top charts. According to a previous article in Rolling Stones, the Doors' first show occurred as an opening act at the Whiskey A Go-Go. The Doors achieved national recognition after their signing with Elektra Records in 1967. Their single, Light My Fire, spent 3 weeks at #1 on Billboard Hot 10. The Doors even performed one time on The Ed Sullivan Show before being banned after refusing to change the lyrics for one of their songs. One show will forever live in Doors' history. On December 9th, in 1967, the Doors performed a show in New Haven, Connecticut. During this show, Morrison incited a riot, and therefore became the first ever rock musician to be arrested on stage. Once the Doors reached their level of fame, Morrison began to rely heavily on the use of alcohol and illegal substances. This would ultimately lead to his death. Throughout his life, Morrison often pushed his personal boundaries by using drugs to expand his mind. His addiction became worse and worse with each level of fame the Doors achieved. On July 3rd, in 1971, Jim Morrison died at the age of 27. Although no official claim can be made, seeing as how many theories have been created to explain his death, the official claim is overdose. Morrison is buried in Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris. This is one of the city's most famous tourist attractions, and the grave had no official marking except for 2 busts of Jim Morrison, which continuously were defaced by graffiti. The French officials placed a shield over it, which was stolen in 1973. And here I will show a live clip of the Doors performing on The Ed Sullivan Show. During this show is the final show that they performed on The Ed Sullivan Show. They played a set of, I believe, 5 songs, and during their last song, they did not meet the requirements that were made by the producers. They did not change the lyrics, and from that, they were forever banned from The Ed Sullivan Show. But this is one example of them playing live. And these are my sources. Are there any questions? Yes.
Can you think of any bands that you know that have been influenced by this man and the Doors?
Well, a lot of rock after this time period, which was about late 60s, early 70s, had major influence from the Doors. The Doors were more of a psychedelic rock genre, such as like Jimi Hendrix or Janis Joplin. So from there, it kind of paved the way. Like the Doors paved a whole new way for the rock music genre in general. So we're just like with their use of rhythm, the lyrics, Ray Manzarek on the keyboard or the organ, I believe. So they did change quite a bit. Any other questions? Yes.
How did the band come up with its name, The Doors?
Ray Manzarek and Jim Morrison actually took it from, I believe it was a philosophy book called The Doors of Perception. And I cannot remember the exact name of the author, but this is where they got the idea for the Doors. Any other questions?